is Alabama's job good because it's the name of Alabama, or because it's Nick Saban?
I think it was. I think people are going to come to discover. And again, it depends who they get, but I think clearly the answer is Nick Saban. Like they tried multiple people to get them back, and they had the title in '93,
Mike Price
'92.
Mike Price was so close to being
Still there. It's rolling, baby.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that Mike Price down? But no, they tried numerous people and couldn't get it right. And I think for the longest time it was like we need to get someone tied into the Bear and the Bear legacy and history there, and it just really didn't work. And then Landon Saban just kind of came in and shook things up. It was exactly what they needed. And I think, but I don't think they're going to completely become irrelevant or just kind of another team. But I think we're not going to be looking at Alabama as a playoff team, a playoff lock, or 11-1, 12-0 SEC title every year, especially bringing in Texas and Oklahoma now into the league, and just with Georgia there, and how LSU's on the ascent. Like, I think the timing was right for Nick to get out with a team that he overachieved with and felt good about his ability to coach. But yeah, this is not like people are asking, like, would Sark leave Texas for Alabama, or why would? And I'm like, why kind of would he? I'm like, you can get paid more probably at Texas. You were better than Alabama this year. I think you've got a better recruiting base. In I don't think it's a slam dunk that they get one of these guys like Sarkisian or Lanning or even Lane. Ole Miss had like the best offseason that they've ever had in terms of winning that bowl game, the portal guys that they brought in. Like, Ole Miss is in a great position now too. So like, it's going to be very interesting, I think, to see the direction that this Alabama job goes. Will, do you have any thoughts on Alabama or the title game or anything?
I mean, it's the old saying: you never want to be the guy that follows the guy. You want to be the follows the guy that follows the guy. I mean, you don't want to jump right in. The expectations are going to be so high, so they're going to get somebody. I mean, it's a great job. It's just, it's going to be impossible to live up to those expectations, live up to what Saban did. It's amazing with Belichick, Saban, all the ties they've had, all the winning they've done. There's such natural comparisons. They were on the Cleveland staff together. For them to go out the same day is really kind of eerie, isn't it?
Yeah, and Pete Carroll as well.
Poor Pete Carroll, man, like Hall of Fame level coach, and just no one talks about him today because of Saban and Belichick. Look, the thing about Sark or Lanning leaving is that NIL and the transfer portal, I think, have made jobs, quote unquote, like better, right? Like if look, I'm obviously an Oregon guy, so I'm gonna make a case for Oregon. But look, Eugene is not the fertile recruiting ground that Alabama is. But when you pay a player more than someone else, they tend to show up. You know what I mean? Like, and so it makes it quite. Look, do you have to fly further to get to players? Sure, but you're on a private plane. But if you're Texas right now, your NIL program, your ability to get football players is on the same level as Alabama right now. And if you're Sark, you just made a playoff. Do you have to go to Alabama to win a championship? You're building that talent at Texas right now. Look, Oregon obviously was not a playoff team this year. They lost to Washington twice. What stinks more than anything else is that all these SP plus, all the analytics numbers sort of have them ranked in the top 3 to end the season, which again, it's like a drive a stake in my heart right there. But look, you don't have to beat Alabama to recruit those players like you did 10 years ago. Again, I'm not saying Alabama was a worse job than Oregon. I'm just making the case for why taking that job is not what it used to be a few years ago. That's it. And look, if Lanning were to go, he were to go. It's Alabama. I mean, you don't say really no to Alabama very often, but some of these coaches that have these advantages at their schools with their NIL and their transfer portal and sort of the advantages of playing these bigger conferences, is it worth going to Alabama now to get what you want when you could have that at the school you're currently at?
I don't think he's going to go. I think he's going to stay. I think he's in a really good spot.
So I love my Ducks. I love college football. If Lanning were to go, it would crush my soul for quite a few weeks. I'm not going to lie. Like it'd be hard to
stomach. That means Bears rooting for it.
And I wouldn't blame him if he went. Of course he is. He texted me last night. It was like Lanning's. The first thing he said, you guys know this, Lanning's gone.
I didn't say that.
Do you know
I didn't say gone. I said I'd be a little uneasy if I were an Oregon fan right now because Lanning is going to be there for his call.
I got
I think
a lot of text messages from people that just read like, bye-bye Lanning, Lanning's gone, Lanning to Alabama, like from all walks of life. And it was not a fun few hours. But let's get back to the NFL.
Yes, let's get back to Sunday.
Just quickly, one last thing. The mechanics of this happening. Saban didn't just wake up yesterday and say, all right, I'm going to retire. Correct. This was probably in the works. He probably gave Bama some notice, so Bama probably had some wheels in motion. Yeah. Do you guys think that's a factor? Like this is already a done deal with whoever it's going to be?
So
okay.
Yeah, so this is also why I believe Lanning is staying at Oregon. And there's some things behind the scenes where I think it's contractually difficult for him to leave. There's some things outside of like the buyout. But, obviously they have the same agent. They have Sexton. So does everyone else in college football. They probably knew this was happening for a while. Now, even though there were reports that Nick Saban was still doing his job yesterday, of course he is. He's a worker. He's a workaholic. Of course he's doing his job still. But it's been happening for weeks, and Lanning has been very adamant, knowing this is probably happening. He's staying at Oregon, right, Bear? I mean, he's said that many times over now. I'm staying at Oregon. I'm staying at Oregon. I'm staying at Oregon. So we'll see who they hire. The Kalen DeBoer thing is interesting because he doesn't have a deal yet with Washington.
Right.
But I don't know if he fits Alabama. So I don't know who they hire. It'd be interesting.
It's going to be very interesting. I'm glad you said that, Will, about you. This didn't just suddenly pop up. I got a text from a buddy of mine who's a Georgia guy. He's pretty dialed in at Georgia. And he sent me a clip and was telling me that, I guess, pre-SEC championship game, there was a hot mic that caught a little private conversation between Kirby and Nick. And It basically ended. It was along the lines of like, congratulations, you deserve it. Yeah. And it was like kind of indicating, and I guess Nick had been like fast tracking this renovation on this massive home in Jupiter, Florida. Like I think it was for a while. Like there were signs that this was coming. Now there were also signs years ago that it might be going, but I think there was definitely smoke. I think as early as like SEC championship weekend that this could potentially be something that's in the works. But Bear Bets full episodes drop twice a week right here on the Bear Bets YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to stay ahead of the odds, and let's celebrate all of our wins together.